Rolling.
Hey guys, Neal Brennan here. I'm going to start us off, guys, because we have an internal survey. Right? You ready?
All right, crickets.
So yeah, get the crickets ready. All right, no, there's a survey we're trying to work shit out with advertisers so that we can directly get shit you guys want to hear about. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, go take the survey at www.themidroll.com/survey/champs. And it's like, it'll take you 90 seconds.
And here's the thing. We've been doing this podcast for over a year for free. And so we're trying to get just a little bit of money just to pay our expenses for this
Trying
podcast.
to get Moshe and Doug to be rich like Daddy.
Right, man. We're trying to come up to some Neal Brennan money. So if you could.
themidroll.com/survey/champs. It takes 90 seconds. In fact, so far we've found out that 16% of our listeners are unemployed.
Unbelievable. Not hard to believe.
And because you get to see at the end what everybody else. So go midroll.com/survey/champs. And fuck with the survey. Now, where is everybody going? Moshe, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Hey, on March the 2nd, I'm headlining the Hollywood Improv at 8 and 10 p.m. And, you can probably go for free if you fuck with me. Find me on Twitter and send me a message, and I can probably throw you on a list. Then March 14th through 18th, I'll be at Caroline's in New York City. And that'll be a lot of fun with Natasha Leggero. And a lot of other fun stuff will be happening in the time to come. MosheKasher.com.
Neal Brennan is back, and he's got some dates of his own. March 7th, 8th, 9th, going to be in Tacoma, Washington. Tacoma, you've been good to me before. Be good to me again. Come fuck with me. March 7th, 8th, 9th. March 12th, I'll be in Grand Rapids with Natasha Leggero.
Everybody's going
out with Natasha. And March 16th, I'm going to be in Boston at the Sinclair Theater in Cambridge, which is near Boston. I don't have to tell you Boston. You know how you do.
Hey, guys, this is Doug. I am not doing any shows. Feels good.
Hey, what about you, Jasper? You have any dates you want to plug?
What up? Hey, bookers, man, I'm available for dates.
This is our guest,
What's up?
Jasper Redd.
All right, let's
Holla
start the
at me.
podcast.
Now you're fucking with the champs.
Hey, it's your favorite podcast, The Champs. Hollywood, California. Once again, we have a new home. It's very exciting. Won't mean anything to you. It'll sound the same, but we're in a new place, and we are very excited to have you back listening to our podcast. Neal, how are you?
Yeah, Moch.
All right.
Moch.
It's been, when did we do Too Short? 2 weeks ago?
That was 2 weeks ago.
Guys, I'm no longer single.
What?
And yeah.
Big announcement.
Hold on a second.
Guys.
We can't even get into that. We have to introduce Jasper.
Now you're fucking with the champs.
Let's just quickly introduce our guest. This is a dude that I started comedy with. Hilarious guy.
Thank you.
You've seen him on Conan. You've seen him on Comedy Central. Seen him on a bunch of other shit. Frankenhood. Things
Yeah,
like that.
boy.
It's Jasper Redd, ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen.
thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Jasper Redd, who referred to the Champs podcast is to modern black comics what Paris was in the 20s.
Yes.
To black jazz
To
musicians.
black jazz
Yes,
musicians.
man.
Giving them a voice.
We're giving them a voice when no other podcast will have them.
No.
It sounds pandering and racist, but it's
And it
not,
is.
because Jasper said it. We didn't say it.
Nah, y'all, we behind on the podcast game. We and y'all podcast is keeping a lot of voices out there heard.
Why do you think black people are behind on podcasts?
It's just new. It's just something. This is new. We still working on the old model
And the old model is
of getting recognition, which is
mixtapes, what have you.
yes, mixtapes.
Campfires.
Yeah,
But it is interesting because black culture is super up on Twitter. It's super up on
Yeah.
Tumblr. It's super up on YouTube. I mean, so for some reason, podcasts haven't hit that sort of zeitgeisty
I don't
itch.
know. I mean, what do you have any theories?
I mean, people probably find that shit boring. That's one thing. We just gonna listen to a motherfucker talk. You know, I mean, that's kind of.
No, yeah, that's true. That is
Interesting.
yeah.
Nobody got time for that.
Yeah, I don't think people care to like. Yeah, there is no like Tavis Smiley's not his guests are like on for 20 minutes and they got to go.
Right.
Yeah. So all right. So my girlfriend.
Okay, Neal has a girlfriend.
Guys.
This is big news.
It's my ex who you know,
The one from before.
the one from before.
The one who you loved?
Yes.
And you love her
And
again.
shall love again.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw her at Whole Foods, and she poked me in the ribs.
Was she in the diseased men section there at...
I don't even know. What does that mean?
I was trying to insult you. I don't know.
Oh.
Thought it'd be funny, but...
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know. Broken men's section at Whole Foods? That was what I was getting.
looking
Oh, okay,
for disease.
okay.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. It didn't work
Look,
the way
we're
I
just
wanted it
getting
to.
started on this one.
Yeah,
Who
that's
knows?
true.
We'll warm. We're just warming up, Doug. And so now we're gonna give it the old. But who knows? I'm not getting my hopes up because she's capable of anything.
She's done this to you before.
Yeah.
Jasper, you're in a relationship.
But I'm doing the thing now where I have to call when girls text me like,
Oh,
"Hey,"
man.
I have to go like, "Hey."
The cull. That's what I call it.
You got to
the cull.
tell. Do you fill them in?
Yeah.
I call it
and
the
then,
cull.
And then they have to pretend that they weren't interested anyway.
Right.
What
Or
do you
they go
say
like-
straight up? I have a girlfriend now.
No, I just go like, "Hey, just so you know, like I'm seeing my ex and whatever." And then they go like, "Oh, I didn't care about that anyway." It's kind of like you just have to.
I don't care. Can I just be a friend and
Yeah,
text you and say
so
hi?
we friends or what? I was like, "Yeah, we'll be friends like we never were before."
Nah, man, that's good. Rekindle that love. Don't run from it.
Yeah, don't run.
I'm trying not to, but she's been running.
Right.
She been running. Well,
Yeah.
she needs to start running. You may recognize the man you is.
Thank you.
What about you? How long you've been in a relationship for? How long, Jasper?
Forever.
Forever?
I've been in love forever.
With the same woman?
That's right.
Oh wow. Oh, I see. There are icy defenses here that we're gonna have to break through on Jasper.
Oh wait, you don't talk publicly about it?
Nah, I just never
can
been
cut-
asked publicly
And we
about
can
it.
cut anything you don't want on the podcast out.
Nah,
so.
man, what I got to hide.
I don't know. What do you
What
got
I got
to
to hide.
You
love?
live with
I'm hiding love? No. I don't live with her.
her? Where she live?
She lives here in Los Angeles.
All right.
And she's a fellow comedian.
Oh, all right. There you go.
It's Paula Poundstone.
That's worth hiding.
Yeah, he's going out with Paula Poundstone.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the name.
It's Paula P. I'll
Have
say
you
it for
been with? How long you been with her?
It's 5 or 6 years.
Oh wow, is she a good comedian?
Yes.
No, she's boo boo, but
Now-
but she's
Nah, I
a
would
lovely
say
person.
I would say she if she wasn't, I'd say nah, she ain't that funny. But
Was she always? Where did you meet her?
I met her through
Whole Foods?
comedy.
Because
Were
we meet women at Whole Foods. That's what we do.
Met her at some open mic, I believe.
And
Just
were
pat
you
by
nervous
pat.
about dating a comedian?
No,
Why not?
it's not ever could think about.
What if you break up
We've done that.
and you don't mind bumping into each other?
No.
I'm dating a comedian. I'm
Okay.
not single either.
No, I know. I don't
True.
know if you're ready to go public.
I'm ready to go public with the fact, not with the name.
Oh, all right.
So I'm like Jasper. I'm not calling out names. But,
Right.
But I'm also
mean-
not.
Yeah, but you're
single.
saying that it's a name.
What do you mean? It's
It's- no, she
definitely
has a name.
But you could just say I have a girlfriend, but you don't have to say like Neal's like I just have a girlfriend.
But he
he's
doesn't
not like
go
I'm
out
not
with a
ready to
comedian.
reveal the name yet.
All right, well, we'll cut it out. And 5,
Don't cut that
4,
out.
3, 2. I have a girlfriend too, Neal.
Is that true?
Yeah, I got a girlfriend.
What?
now.
What? How are you faring?
It's very interesting, you know. I mean, it's interesting to adjust your whole shit to the rhythm of intimacy. You know what I mean? When you're so used to the opposite of intimacy, which is just fucking.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new paradigm that you have to switch your head into.
What's your angle? What have you had to, what would you normally do post fucking that you no longer, other than just staying?
I would say that the vast majority of girls that I've been with in my life, I've had sex with maybe, a few times and then
Right.
moved on and it just petered out for whatever reason.
Right.
So the idea of like giving myself to a person sort of emotionally and physically it's a whole different thing. Have you been in a lot of relationships, Jasper?
No, I haven't. There, Moshe.
How's that working out for you?
It was working out well. It's working out real well. Just traveling the land, being a man. But sometimes you just run into the one and you stop.
And you don't ever question it, I take it.
Nah, I don't.
Are you prone to, you don't seem like a neurotic guy.
No, I'm not. I'm very, very ordinary.
No, you are not ordinary at all, Jasper.
I mean, in behavior, I may have some off beats, you know.
Jasper is offbeat,
but
he
relationship wise, I'm straight up.
Where are you? All right. So where'd you grow up?
Tennessee.
All right. And then when did you? What sort of family?
Christian family.
Sounds pretty ordinary.
Yeah, it's ordinary. Had an older sister, have a younger brother.
Parents together?
Parents are not together.
Were they ever?
Yes.
At least one night, yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
One time I asked Donnell Rawlings, "Are your parents still together?" And he goes, "Still together."
They never were.
He's like, "Fuck, they just fuck one night." And did they? How was it coming up?
It was cool, man. I had an ordinary childhood. Was a decent student in school.
Decent, just like average, or
just move on.
I made B's and C's. You know, I wasn't no honor roll kid, but you know.
But you just got the idea to do comedy out of the blue, right? Like out of
Well,
nowhere.
I always liked comedy. Like I loved comedy growing up. Watched it all the times.
Who were your people?
Growing up?
Yeah.
Say Bill Cosby.
You guessed it. Frank Stallone.
Robin Harris and Sinbad. I said it was.
Never
Sinbad.
care for Bill Cosby.
Just a big Sinbad fan.
Love Robin Harris, one of the greatest comedy albums of all time.
I don't even
Who's
I don't
Robin
even know
Harris?
who Robin Harris
Is that
is.
a man?
Robin Harris was in Do the Right Thing. He played Sweet Dick Willie.
I've seen Do the Right Thing.
He's the three guys that are sitting there, the three old dudes.
Oh, uh-huh.
He's one of them. He's like the funny one. And he made a comedy album that is, back me up on this, it's from the Comedy Act Theater, which is a black-run theater. It was in the 80s and it probably closed in the mid to early 80s. Black-run theater in South Central. And it's the fucking most pungent recording of a comedy club I can think of.
It
Would you
smells
agree with
bad,
that?
is what you're saying?
It's just like you're fucking there.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
yeah. It's very intimate.
Like you're there. It's like you can. He's doing crowd work, and you're like, oh, he got that motherfucker.
I hate that dude.
Yeah, oh fuck that motherfucker.
That dude that's been dead for 40 years, I hate that fat guy.
Yeah. And the jokes are basically they're basically mostly street jokes, but he sells them so good that you don't begrudge him at all.
Well, speaking of selling things so good, Neal, how did you get this girl back? What did you sell her on that she couldn't
Nothing.
be sold
she
on
just
before?
poked at me.
Quinoa.
I'll tell you. You know what? One of the things that did it for me, I had my dog with me in the car,
Sure.
and
What's your dog's name again?
Keith.
Old Keith. Good old
Old
Keith.
Keith is here, and I was like, you got him. She's like, you have a dog? I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's so out of character for you.
You're taking the step towards babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this furry.
although
I
she
call it a
had-
furry baby. That's
she-
what I do.
His name is Furry Baby. She has a kid. That's what a good person I am, guys.
Oh, she's got a
already-
kid?
Yeah.
Oh, you tripping?
Yeah. That's
Oh.
how dedicated
How old is that
to the
kid?
game. 16. No,
Oh.
no, I'm just fucking around.
It's your homie?
Like
We smokes weed.
3.5, 4.5, maybe.
Oh, crazy.
So
Yeah.
you gonna, so like dating someone like that,
It's a real. It's like
it's kind of scary because you can't fuck it up and like
It's
screw
like
it.
an
There's a kid
episode-
involved that you don't want to. Like,
I know.
mess
I'm not
up.
gonna hit her or nothing. I mean, I can just break up with her.
You hit the kid, though.
Do you feel like you can't break up with her because you don't want to disappoint the kid if the kid likes you?
No, because I mean that is like a good sitcom plot. That's the thing is when someone has a kid, then you have to worry about like, am I gonna? But I don't. It's like it either works or it doesn't.
Did you ever feel like when she was not, she would like back away from you and you were like feeling her and like You have a goddamn kid. How dare you back away from me?
How dare? I'm the buyer.
I'm here, and you are, and you have an extra fruit.
Yeah, like you know how lucky you are that I'm even considering this shit.
Yeah.
Would you ever date somebody with a kid, Jasper?
No.
Do you have any kids?
No, I don't have any kids.
You are not the father.
Thank goodness.
I have not. Yeah, no, I didn't think I ever would date somebody with a kid. But what you find is there are such things as babysitters.
Is his baby daddy around? Does he come around and fuck with you?
This time that we're dating, he lives in the same apartment complex as her.
That's a
crazy.
sitcom right
I know.
there. That's a
I
sitcom.
know. That I'm not looking forward to. He's out of town
That
a lot,
is the
though.
sitcom.
He's a stand-up comedian.
Is
That's
he a
going
comedian
out.
too?
No, he's an actor.
Who is it? Tavis Smiley? No,
It's
that's not an
Tavis
actor.
Smiley. No, he's an actor.
do.
That's what hoes do, and he's an actor, and yeah, like we've never met. Yeah, so it is.
Does he mad dog you?
He had. I don't know. He hasn't. We've never met.
Maybe from within his apartment, though, he might.
Apparently, he heard that me and homegirl were together last time, and he tried to do stand up.
Shut up.
Like she left me for a comedian.
That's hilarious.
So then he started doing stand up. What would have been sad is if he was like dope at it.
Yeah.
He was.
That's how he gets into it, and then he like takes over the game.
And then he's fucking like just crushing, and I can't follow him.
And that's comedian is Paula Poundstone.
And that is, of course, Paula Poundstone. No, so let's see, guys. Fingers, light a candle. For those of you that are religious, please
Put your lighters up for
Put
Neal.
me in your prayers. I
Finding
hope it
love.
works. I hope it works because I like her a lot.
So you're in love, Jasper, of course, at 5 years.
Yeah, man. I had to mature. Had to grow up. But yeah, I would say I'm.
What do you? I think that's coded language for you had to cheat on her a bunch of times.
Nah, I couldn't always commit. And then so I would leave her hanging sometimes.
Would you cheat or you just wouldn't?
Nah, I was just, I need a break.
And you would just break up with her for no good reason, kind of a thing?
It wasn't for no good reason. It was for a reason. I wouldn't just break up with her because I feel like being alone today. It was just I wasn't ready. I wasn't mature enough to handle the relationship the way it should have.
I wish I could marry you right now.
But you are a very aloof dude. I mean, of all the people that in the early days of San Francisco comedy, for me, Jasper's always been truly an
You guys
enigma.
started together?
We started together in San Francisco.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What's your most embarrassing Moshe story?
I don't have one.
Man, we
when you think of Moshe, what do you think of? The early days
I think
of
of
Moshe.
Smug Life.
Yeah, Smug Life was a show that I used to do in Oakland with Brent Weinbach when we do these alternative comedy shows in Oakland.
I don't care.
I don't care either, but it came up. But we all started together, me and him and Brent and Jacob Siroff and Cherry Siroff and other comedians you may or may not have heard of.
Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
I don't know.
I
11?
started in 2002.
Yeah, 10, 11 years.
So,
And
yeah.
did you, Jasper? You how would you describe your? It's a little. Your jokes are short, right?
Sometimes, yeah, most of the time.
Do you find? I always find like if someone's jokes are short, that would scare the shit out of me. Like my having one-liners. Whenever I see someone that's new to comedy and they're doing one-liners, I always want to go like, you got to stop doing one-liners.
Well, unless you're a
'Cause
one-liner,
you have to
dude.
write 1,000 of them to get an hour.
Yeah.
Funny you bring that up. I was talking to Dan Mintz last night. Do you know him? He's
Yeah.
a one-liner guy.
He's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
very
good
good.
at one-liners. And he was
He
saying,
has that joke that Roman Polanski, his parents died in the Holocaust. His wife was killed by Charles Manson, and he
raped a child.
And he got busted for underage sex and had to leave America. And Dan goes, "I'd be happy with just one of those things."
yeah. No, he's great, man. He was saying that he finds people on the coasts to be very standoffish toward one-liner comedy, and people in the Midwest to be into one-liner comedy. So jokes don't play as well. Conversational comedy, he was saying, plays better on the coast.
No, I don't think it plays better or worse. I think it plays. I just worry about like you have to write so many jokes. Like I always feel like if I write an hour, I had to have like 7 subjects or.
But
8
if your
subjects.
one-liners are good, you sit back and let the laughter roll.
That's true, but you're not a one-liner dude. Jasper's not a one-liner comedian.
No, but his jokes are relatively short.
Yeah,
right?
they're relatively small.
Like you don't
small.
explore the subject and keep going.
I actually see all of my jokes usually just start out like real big. I just take the chisel to them and just get them down to where all the good stuff at.
Oh, see, I don't do that. I just put the fat
Focus
in.
on the good stuff.
I like to load that fat in.
Yeah, that's your commitment to the audience.
Yeah, that's right. I
There's
want to
gonna be
waste
a lot of
Give
garbage.
them everything.
I'm trying to waste your time.
You're gonna
everybody.
You're gonna have to fast forward through a lot of this shit. You ain't gonna be able to, but you're gonna want to. And Jasper, what? And when did you move to LA?
2005, after 3 years of living in the Bay.
Well, here was the thing about Jasper. This is what I want to talk to you about. Is Jasper was the first dude of my whole circle where the gods of Hollywood came to San Francisco and anointed him like that's the guy, and whisked him down to L.A. before any of us. Like before I had shit going on.
2005, you said?
Yeah, that's when I moved. Yeah.
And did everybody say you were like Chappelle?
No, people say I was more like Hedberg.
Got it.
Then some people say I'm like Chappelle, but yeah, it's who you ask.
So I mean, what was
Who were the gods of Hollywood?
You know, the managers and agents and studio execs and things. You disagree with me, Jasper?
Nah, I think a lot of people was bubbling at the time. A lot of people was getting noticed from the industry, so it wasn't just me. You had Louis, you had Kamal, you had Kevin Shea, Brent,
had
Al Madrigal. So there was a lot of people who had some heat.
Was this people were coming up to San Francisco, or you guys were going to festivals?
It's just when we all started doing comedy around the same time, it was just like we was riding this resurgence of comedy, and then we all just happened to be talented at it. So, and people took notice, you know, and it was before all that.
Oakland right now.
I mean, there was definitely.
And it was before social media was popping, man. It was organic.
I mean, there was definitely like a strange community of people in San Francisco at the time where like all of a sudden they were like, 10 or 12 of us that were all of a sudden had started at about the same time. They were all pretty strong and talented. And
right.
So it was like, one of those things where, a group makes it and then they make it. I think it was Don Herrera that said cliques make it and then they make it together. Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Get up off Twitter.
So you got cool Keith. You walk into Whole Foods and you see your ex-girlfriend.
She was not with me. The dog was not with me.
Wait. Your dog is a woman?
The dog was in the car.
Keith is a girl?
Keith is in.
You can't bring a dog into a grocery store,
Keith was in the car.
I can. I got a harness that says disability dog.
Oh, yeah, because you're...
I'm not
'Cause your
disabled, but I
mom's
don't give a
deaf.
fuck. Yeah, I got a deaf mom, and I've suffered.
You know who else does that?
Who?
Someone you know,
Okay.
which we can't mention.
You could have said it without saying the name, dude.
I didn't say a name.
You could have front-loaded the name. But all right, so Neal, you
Wait,
walk
so,
in.
is that how you guys bonded?
No,
both have-
I don't really do
You
that.
both
The
have
truth
seeing
is.
eye dogs?
But I have thought about it. You know that there's no licensing for disabled dogs. You can just buy a harness on the internet and take your dog on a plane.
For real?
Absolutely.
I know people
Loophole.
that do that. I've seen people in fancy restaurants with dogs. What do they say?
They just say,
It's like
"Oh, it's
rescue
an
dog.
emotional
Fancy
companion."
restaurants
And
like,
it's
like
like,
a Taco
I-
Bell or
No, it's like an emotional companion dog. You just say, "It's my
like,
emotional companion dog."
I have Disney. I have hiccups. This
I have
dog's gotta
Disney.
be.
I have a hiccup.
I'm dizzy. I gotta have my dog. I gotta have Keith here.
I got that herpes.
I got
dizzy.
my herpy
I'm
dog.
so dizzy without my dog. No, so we saw it. She poked me in the rib without looking at her. This is our connection. I was like, I like that poke. I don't like.
you just
I don't
felt
like
it.
when people roll up on me like that.
No, dog.
Oh, I got a
You
story.
might
I got
punch
a story
someone
that I want to tell
repeatedly in the
after this.
face for some
No,
shit.
yeah,
like that.
I don't.
You
don't come at
play.
me like. Don't
No.
come at me like that.
Listeners, Neal don't play.
Don't come at me sideways.
Don't come
So
at him
she
sideways
came-
poking.
she
She
came up
poked
to
me in the
you.
rib, and I was like, you know what? I fuck with whoever this is.
Okay.
And I turned.
You thought
and
it was a champ.
It was old girl.
Oh, girl.
So we
shouty.
talked, and then we then I was like, I got my dog, and I was like, so we would go to my car. I let the dog out.
Did you
and,
get the windows rolled down, or you roll them up on Keith?
I leave him open a quarter. Although today he tried to just straight up climb. He tried to like get in through the gap, and he would have gotten stuck.
And you were trying to get into the gap on your
You know what I
ex-girlfriend,
mean?
correct?
All right, so then we're at my car. And I'm like, you know what? We should sit in the back. Then we sat in the back of my car.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
During the day at a
you
Whole
saw your
Foods.
ex-girlfriend at a Whole Foods and
Yeah.
said, crawl into the backseat of my car
Yeah.
with me and my dog, Keith.
Yeah.
Did you?
Okay.
bone?
I put Keith in the front.
Did you finger fuck her?
No, but we
You
made
should
out.
have.
We
You
made
did
out.
not.
Yeah.
You
We
hadn't
made
seen her
out.
in how long?
I don't know. Like, I saw her at Real Food Daily once.
Oh, you all are on some like heart pounding "I love you" shit. When you see each other, it's all.
No, it wasn't. When I saw her at Whole Foods, I just thought we're never going to get together again. So then we were like, we should get together, et cetera, et cetera. Got together. Now, here's the stories I wanted to tell, which is I spent the weekend, guys, in Traverse City.
Oh, right.
Michigan at the Traverse City Comedy Festival, hosted by Michael Moore.
I know him.
I saw that picture.
You've done it before, right?
No, but I've seen his films. Pinko.
Pinko?
Liberal. True liberal disinformation spreader.
Yeah. All right. So Michael Moore's the host, and
he's hosting the comedy night.
It was like a 2-night
No, he's
comedy
hosting the
festival.
buffet. Bang.
And bang, you're really killing him.
He's hosting.
And I ended up talking to Michael Moore.
Cool.
For about an hour and a half on Friday night. And then on Saturday, I was at the only vegan restaurant in Traverse City. And who should be there but the great Dick Gregory?
Who's a vegan?
He's a super vegan.
No shit.
He's a dietitian. He's a nutritionist.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's what he's been doing.
Who's Dick Gregory?
I guess I haven't been.
Google him.
You don't know who Dick Gregory is?
Yeah, explain who Dick Gregory is to people, because it's hard to explain.
Dick Greg, he from back in the days. Like, he started standing.
He's 80.
Yeah, he's
literally 80.
He's gonna outlive us all.
Yeah,
too. And he started back in the 50s, 60s. Very political, social type of comedian, and then
kind of the first the first black political comedian. Before him, there was this guy Godfrey Cambridge.
Was a black political comedian?
Mm-hmm.
No, Godfrey was just like a sort of observational guy, and then he was directly political. In fact, he spoke at Medgarever's funeral. Didn't
he lose prominence in Hollywood because of some political shit, some sort of left-wing shit that he got on?
He's super I mean, I don't know how popular he ever was.
Was he blacklisted
he
like
was
in the
pretty
50s
big
or something?
I think he was pretty big, and I think I read something about him sort of losing prominence because of a stance that he took on. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I think I remember him.
All right. Well,
okay. So you saw him at the buffet.
So I just bum rush him. It's not a buffet.
He's 80. Why you bum rush that man?
He's by himself. He's with a hostess from the festival. We were all assigned like a handler, so I didn't even pretend to not. I just went over. I was like, "Hey, Ms. Gregory, I'm a big fan," because I legitimately am a big fan of his, and so we ended up. And then Michael Moore came. He was supposed to have lunch with him, and I just never left. So me, Michael Moore, and Dick Gregory had lunch.
Was Michael Moore at this vegan place?
Yeah. He met us. He met Dick at the vegan place.
After he hit McDonald's, he went there.
He's losing weight. Michael is. You could also, by the way, when you know Michael, you call him Mike.
Oh, jeez.
So I call him Mike now.
That's
just
cool.
FYI. And Michael Moore on Friday night was telling
Mike, please.
Mike, yes, sorry, was telling stories. We started talking about the OJ trial, and Mike was a fucking OJ fanatic.
Stop dropping my name.
And so he. Basically, so then 6 months after OJ gets acquitted...
What do you mean by he was an OJ fanatic?
Watched every single hour of the trial.
Fanatic.
Yeah.
What about you, Jasper? Were you watching that trial?
Not really, man. I remember the NBA Finals was going on.
Well, the NBA Finals was going on during the chase.
Wait, so was he a fanatic of OJ or just of the trial?
Of the trial.
He's just a fan of trials.
Yeah, he didn't. No, he was a fan of the OJ trial. He wasn't a fan of trials.
Was he a fan of OJ?
I mean, not especially.
Okay, he wasn't like an OJ fan.
No.
But how did you feel when OJ was acquitted, Jasper? Do you remember that feeling?
It was weird. I just remember I was in school when they announced the verdict.
I was too, actually. And I remember all the black students were jumping up and down in the hallways like, that's right! That's right! That's right!
Yes!
It was really quite an experience.
That's hilarious.
I went to a white high school, so it wasn't like that.
So they were like weeping and putting sackcloth
It was the
on.
opposite.
They were like, "You're a
Motherfuckers throwing
murderer,"
trash cans.
Did you feel
They started
joy?
making 4x4s in wood class.
Did you feel joy?
Did I feel joy? I can't remember because I wasn't really attached to it. I didn't really care. I wasn't OJ fan. I was like, who is this dude? This dude from Naked Gun? He doing stuff?
I mean,
That's how I was like.
Naked Gun. That's funny that OJ's known for Naked Gun.
I ain't know he played football. Till like,
Yeah.
If you're not of a
But
certain age,
you didn't feel any feeling of like a black guy got acquitted finally, and he, fuck, I mean, that was the feeling in the streets a little bit was like, this finally
a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, finally,
completely.
yeah.
I honestly, I didn't care. I guess I didn't care.
So what did Michael Moore say about OJ?
All right. So Michael did a pilot for Fox 6 months after OJ got acquitted, and it was a late night pilot. And he did like sort of TV Nation type stuff. This is before TV Nation. It's probably 96. Mm-hmm. And he said Jon Stewart was one of the guests. And live studio audience, his last segment, he goes, I'd like to bring out my final guest. He's an actor. He's an award-winning athlete. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome O.J. Simpson. Didn't tell the audience.
Is that true? He came out?
OJ comes walking out.
After the trial?
Yes. 6 months after the trial. And Michael said that the audience, a third of the audience immediately stood up and started screaming at him.
Just stood on their feet.
Just was like, fuck you.
Oh, my God.
Just immediately yelling at OJ. And then Mike proceeded to ask him
Gotcha journalism?
No, non-murder questions.
Just about his football
Literally,
career?
like, so what did you think? How do you think it's affected football that they moved the kickoff line back 5 yards?
Was this like a high-level performance art?
Black experience.
And then so he asked them and then finally because I was like, how did you get OJ to do it? He didn't do any interviews, and he goes, I had a really good. Mike had written an essay basically saying
Moore?
Mike.
Uh-huh.
Michael Moore, is that the guy? I
just
call him Mike.
throwing
Look,
you under
he's
the
a
bus.
friend, and his name is Mike.
No matter what it is, I'm throwing you under the bus. That's all.
He's Neal's best friend.
He's
calls
a
him
really
Mike.
good friend of mine. And Mike kind of believed that there were other people. He's like, basically, so he said to
Does he
OJ,
think there's a second stabber?
he believes that OJ was there, but he didn't do it. OJ was that's the thing. It's like, but there was shit that Mike said. He goes, did you know that Ron Goldman's dad was what worked in the porn industry?
What does that have to do with anything?
Nothing. But there's just shit that people didn't know.
Have you ever heard this story?
Ron Goldman's dad worked in the porn industry. Ron Goldman had been to jail twice.
Was he doing porn in the industry?
No, he was making boxes.
He wasn't slinging dick.
Oh, you're making a joke.
Yeah, he was a box. No, he was a box. He literally made boxes for the porn industry.
What?
Made packaging.
I mean,
there were, that Mark Furman knew Nicole. There was just a lot of stuff that I'd never heard before.
Neal's an OJ denier.
I mean, Mike sounds like Michael Moore is. I mean, what is he? I mean, what a non-issue to be all up in arms about.
I mean, he wasn't. It's not. He wasn't. He only brought it up because I was talking about doing a Fox thing, and then he was like, "I did a pilot once," and he started talking about it, and it was fucking hilarious.
That's incredible.
And then, here's the other thing. We were talking about Fahrenheit 9/11, and I go, "How did you get the footage of Bush sitting there?" And he said, I go, what, did news people have it and they didn't use it? And he goes, no, I just called the teacher of the classroom and she had just been videotaping it and no one had contacted her. And then we were talking about, I said, did you ever have a cut of the movie where you just left it in entirely? And he goes, yes.
The whole time.
The whole 11 minutes.
Cool.
With just you had to watch George Bush sit there.
That would have been incredible.
Which fucking made me laugh really hard because it would have been unbearable, but they would have highlighted. I remember when they did those dissolves within that movie, people gasped that he was still sitting there because they couldn't believe that the fucking president of the United States was just straight up sitting there not doing anything. Ian Edwards was there, been a guest in the Champs. He was backstage also. He said to Mike that Mike makes the kind of movies that black dudes would make. That's like black dudes see Michael movie and they're like, thank you for fucking saying that.
Do you watch Michael Moore movies?
I'm going to cream your pseudo-liberal lily white ass.
And what do you think?
They good.
Yeah.
They good.
And Mike said what's interesting is whenever people... whenever Mike's in public and he's being threatened by a stranger, people have thrown coffee. He had two Navy SEALs work with him for 3 years, and people threw coffee on hot coffee. Guy just came out of Starbucks, saw him, immediately just took off the cap, and went to toss. And the Secret Service guy took it, and another guy
took the coffee. Was like
took the coffee to the face.
Uh-huh.
Took it to the took second-degree burns to the face.
Oh,
Yo,
shit.
would you take coffee from me, bro?
Yeah, exactly. And
honestly, though, that was a real question by Doug.
would I take coffee? No.
What about for me?
No. I'd be like, guys, don't.
Right? You
I'd be
would,
like,
though?
I'd be like, Moshe, I think this guy's gonna throw coffee on you.
Wait, but for real, would you fight someone for me?
I
know we've thought
if there was.
I know we've thought a lot about you beating me up.
All right, did you see the guy on the plane who said, "Shut that nigger baby up"?
Yes, I did hear about
that. What do you think you would have done in that situation?
I don't know.
If he had said that, if he was sitting across the aisle from you.
What about you, Jess? What do you think you would have done? You heard about this?
Yeah, I did.
Old 80. He's like 80 as well.
Oh, was he really?
And I would have assumed that's a crazy person. That would have been my first assumption.
Right.
Because it's a baby. You remember that story, Jasper? About that baby in Oakland?
What?
When you and Brent pulled up on that baby?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. We was just rolling around, came to a stoplight, and the car next to us had their windows down, and the mother in the driver's seat says, why you made me tell this story, man?
Because, man, that's what a podcast is. We're telling stories.
And she turns around to her son in the back seat, in the car seat. Nigga, shut up.
To her baby.
How old's the baby?
3, 2, I don't know.
Like,
when was the first time someone in your family called you the N-word?
Never.
How old were you?
Never.
Oh, never? Really?
Never, no.
Can I circle back to Michael Moore real quick?
Yeah. No, well, let's finish the shut that. Would you? I like to believe I would have just straight up
an 80-year-old
punched
man
the guy in the face.
I wouldn't have done anything because it's a plane, and when there's some kind of thing on a plane, you don't want to throw fire on the flame. You don't want to throw gas on the flames. You just want to calm people down and talk them off the edge. Even though what he's saying is like shitty.
I'm trying to think
it's a plane, and you can like that's like shit gets real up.
And also,
not really. What do you mean? Shit gets real up there.
You get in a fight or something on a plane, you're going to be in jail.
I would have assumed
over somebody yelling at a baby.
I would have.
Right,
I would have
yelling
assumed
horrible. I'd be proud of myself.
I would have assumed that the person was an insane person, which I still sort of assume. I mean, to be an 80-year-old man screaming racial epithets at a 2-year-old baby, you're probably a lunatic.
Right.
And so I bet I would have said something and probably gotten somebody to move the dude away from the baby instead of punching an 80-year-old in the face.
Yeah, you don't want to punch anyone on a
Look,
plane.
I wouldn't have done anything.
Anywhere besides
Let's
a
face
plane.
it, I wouldn't have done
punch,
anything. But I like to believe how I would have, even though there's nothing to back that up.
What if he had said, somebody shut that Jew baby up? You think you would have punched him in the face?
I would have been like, yeah.
Shut him up.
Shut him up, for real.
Do it.
Mike,
Jasper,
all right, so
what do you think you would have
Morris,
done?
I wouldn't have done anything.
You wouldn't have even said anything?
Nah, because, I mean, man, I'm from the South, dude. I mean, I've heard the N-word. See, I haven't heard it from my family. I wasn't coming
heard it from everybody else.
I heard it from everybody else. So, I mean, I'm not one of those black people who overreact to racism.
Well, when's the first time you remember the first time you were called the N-word by a white person?
Oh, man. I don't want to...
Not counting the time I met you.
I can't. But it's happened. Time and time again. It's happened.
Many times?
Yeah. Well, especially when I went to all-white high school, man. There was like race fights. So you would hear it. Get them niggas.
They wouldn't say niggas, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know.
They wouldn't round off the A, would they?
These niggas out of control.
There you go. No, that's them fighting words.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So anyway, Michael Moore. So Ian said that. Ian goes, you make the kind of movies black people would make. He said like if we could, and it's like what black people can't make movies. And Mike said he goes, you know what's interesting? Anytime I get assaulted or it looks like someone's going to assault me, a black or Latino person will always come and stand with me.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
So he's like, that's the like. So there was something sweet about it. Like there's something really sweet about it. Like the fact that black and Latino will stand. Like he is speaking for the. And then I posted a picture of us together, and people were like, "Fucking, you like that?" And it's like he's a polarizing dude, and I kind of don't see the problem with him. So Dick Gregory,
yes,
had stories about Malcolm X.
Let's hear a good Malcolm X story.
He said that he used to refer to Malcolm X as a jailbird motherfucker.
He would call him that?
Yes.
To his face?
Yes.
That's a pretty impressive thing to have done.
Well, because he's older than him, I think, and he was famous. Like, again, if you're not in the nation, it's like, motherfucker, if you just know the dude. He said that him and Adam Clayton Powell, used to call Malcolm a jailbird motherfucker and would be like, I don't trust anybody who doesn't fuck white pussy or crave ribs.
So they
would make fun of Malcolm X.
Adam Clayton, the bass player from U2?
Yeah, good. No, Adam Clayton. This guy, Adam Clayton Powell.
The Ed was like, I don't trust anyone unless they fuck white pussy.
So that was a good story. He also said to Malcolm X, motherfucker, the only time I've been to jail is when I used to visit stupid motherfuckers like you. Referring to Malcolm X. And he said, and the other thing is, all you motherfuckers are in jail for pussy. Not directly for pussy, but you had to rob a store to get money to get a suit for pussy. And at a certain point, they were talking about killing people, about people getting assassinated. Mm-hmm. And I said, then why are you and Michael still alive?
Right.
And Michael was like, that's interesting. And Dick was like... and Dick was like, leave it to the white motherfucker to ask for me to justify why I'm still here. Well, which fucking made me laugh my head off.
I'll tell you why Michael Moore and Dick Gregory are still alive, I think, is because I don't think that they... And you're going to disagree with me strongly on this, but I don't think anybody particularly... I don't think they're as dangerous to the dominant paradigm as Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and
I think
Gandhi
it's because McDonald's
people.
isn't that bad for you.
Also, Mike was... a guy was plotting to kill him.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tried to, but I just mean like...
And was caught.
He's more the guy that you're like, oh, that asshole. Like, if you don't like him, you're not going to be like, I got to murder that guy.
No,
somebody
one
will.
guy was. One guy was... He was on a list.
I can see one guy.
What's the closest you ever came to dying?
all
I have flipped around on a freeway like 180 degrees, like from the fast lane to the slow lane, just whoosh, 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 and slammed into the median facing traffic on the other end. It's such a crazy... Have you ever done anything like that?
I got into a hit and run once.
It's a crazy feeling.
Correct.
Yeah. You
luckily
ran?
I got out of there.
Right on, Doug Knuckles.
Yeah, Doug.
No, I got hit.
It's a
I'm
crazy
stupid
feeling.
for mentioning that on the podcast, but I'm feeling you on that hit and run.
That
Well,
family
I feel
died,
like-
though. That family died.
Yeah, they ain't listening to this. They
Better you than them. Better what?
You got a whole family too.
It was a crazy feeling when you're going. You know, there's like 5 seconds as you spin around that you go. You have this moment of placidity.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't terrible.
You're like,
It's just
this might be. I had this feeling, this is going to end. At some point, I will not be spinning anymore.
Holy shit!
And when I stop spinning, it might be the end of my life. Like that might be it. And I don't know what's going to happen, but it might be it. And
My
then,
shoes fell off.
And then I slammed into the side, and I was fine. And I just remember feeling like I'm alive. And
This is during the day?
during the day on my way to work a long time ago. And I just felt like, wow. And that night I remember I was taking a bath, and I was like, I don't know if there is a God, but thank you regardless. But you, but do you feel confident that if that happened to you, you wouldn't say that, have that thought?
A God thought?
Just like if there is something up there that made that possible. Thanks.
I don't know. I'm so fucking inculcated in the Catholic Church that I can't even. It's so hard to undo that shit.
Inculcated?
Yeah, like
indoctrinated.
Yeah, indoctrinated. Like I'm
so you do go tap that a little bit once in a while.
But my
that,
my brain will be doing that. I'll be like, well, God, and I'm like, you don't believe in a God? Like, the fuck are you talking about? But my brain will just naturally go to.
Are you an atheist, Jasper?
No, I'm not an atheist.
Are you a believer?
Believer in God?
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm still gathering information as we speak.
But you grew up in a Christian household, so you have a lot of information at this point.
Yeah, I used to have a real strong belief in the Christian version of God.
And what happened?
You know, you start reading stuff, and you start.
Where's the beef?
People start saying other things.
Start watching some Michael
that are
Moore
contrary to the Christian beliefs, so I pay attention to them a little bit. Then some people over here start talking about some stuff that's contrary to what this dude talking about. So you just always on the constant search for the truth, I feel.
And what do you feel? What's the truth for Jasper Redd?
What feels real? What feels that makes sense?
Like, what do you got? What would your core beliefs be?
Being a good person and treating others like you want to be treated.
retweet that.
Please retweet it.
What are your core beliefs, Neal?
What do I think? I just try not to make work for other people.
Interesting. That's an interesting one.
Just like I realized a long
Be
time ago, like,
self-sufficient.
well, just like fucking like leaving orange peels out. Just like fuck it.
Right.
Somebody else.
So be considerate kind of thing?
slightly considerate.
But that's
It's kind of a do unto others situation.
That's sort of that's again the thing where it's like, is that Christian if it's just basic decency?
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, and this comes back to you talking about this girlfriend that you have, is like at a certain point, this is what I started to realize about myself when I was approaching, I turned like 33 or 32 and I had never been in a relationship, and I just started to think, if I don't do something, if I don't find somebody soon, it will never happen, because I'm carving myself into such a deep groove of self-sufficiency and self-centeredness that if I don't snap, it's like going to become a permanent state of being any day now. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you?
Yeah. Well, you on the show you would talk about being scared and wanting to be more like me, which is more freely just like fuck it.
I don't want it anymore.
I don't want it.
But you clearly do want it.
I do want it because I realized probably 6 months ago that I realized like 6 months ago that like. That's all. I don't love you. Mel Gibson, everybody. I realized that like love is sort of the only thing that's interesting,
right?
Like beyond more than money, it's like, well, because I was in love with this girl,
right? And
I was like, that shit was awesome.
Here's what it is: love is interesting. Pussy is fascinating. Right, you know what I mean by that is like love challenges you to grow as a person, and it takes you to new vistas of your own humanity.
And pussy makes you go the other way.
And pussy
trifling.
And sex just makes you go. Sex is like
fascinating.
Like a drug. It's like you want it now, and it's always kind of exciting in the moment, and then afterwards it's sort of like, well, that didn't get me anywhere.
Dick Gregory did a joke much like drugs. It's fleeting and it takes you out of yourself.
But it's always exciting right before.
Dick Gregory made a joke about Michael Jackson in his act. He did stand up, and it was fucking cool and good.
Sure.
He knew Michael, and he said, he's like, Michael, you've been famous since you was 5. And he's like, your problem is you never had to beg for pussy. And he was like, he goes, I'm 80. I've been married 55 years. I'm still begging for pussy. Like,
that's hilarious.
That's like the natural state of male being.
Except that it's such a flawed joke. It's such an unbelievably flawed joke. Because he has had to beg for sex.
I don't think
Michael?
he knew him that well.
I mean, if he did the things that he may have done, he was definitely begging those boys.
Well,
like,
no, that's
on.
what he said. Michael Jackson asked him, "Do you think I'm a pedophile?" And he's like, "No, I think you're gay."
I
don't think
Michael Jackson really knew him that well. Because he would have called him Mike.
No, Mike. It was Dick Gregory.
But no, all Michaels go by Mike when you get close to them.
Yeah, no, I know. Look,
they all go down to Mike.
That joke was there to be had.
Yeah, and it was had.
And you guys had it.
We had a good time
out
with
of
it.
the park. Thank you.
Yeah.
So love is all that matters, and I'm trying to pursue love the way I used to pursue showbiz.
Is that right? Yeah. So you're trying to be like a maniac, a megalomaniacal maniac when it comes to reaching new vistas of emotional intimacy.
Yeah, that's why I have a dog.
You should tell that woman.
I did.
Girl, I'm trying to straight up obsess on this like it will
trying
make
to win
me whole.
with you.
What does this woman do?
She is Native American.
Ew.
Yeah, man.
And listen to this.
Yeah.
Lives off of a casino.
No way.
You know how you always hear about
Sure.
people like
She lives off a casino.
she gets a stipend every month.
You don't know about it?
Casino is the one that Anna Nicole Smith died in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, I've performed at that casino.
Yeah, the Improv is there.
Yeah.
The Hard Rock.
Have you performed there, Joe? Yeah, that's a club.
Yeah.
So she just gets free money just because she's Native American?
Yep.
That's cool.
And she doesn't
man.
have to do anything else?
She just has to have been of the
most
atrocity laden
she doesn't have to
of
do
all
anything
time.
else. What do you mean? Like for money?
She's shopping at Whole
What do you
Foods.
feel,
She
Jasper?
must have some good money coming in. From
It's
the casino.
fine. I don't think. Well, the other thing is if you're Native American, all of your school's paid for as well.
That's Jasper.
Oh, Dang, that's a good deal.
Isn't that a good deal?
Here is what the bad
Dang,
deal
that's
is.
a good deal.
Native Americans have the highest rate of illiteracy, suicide, and poverty of any ethnic
And
group.
probably
in America.
alcoholism.
Yes.
But that's because it's a small group. So of course it's gonna be high if it's a small group.
Why?
It's just a small of them. Like
Jews are a small group.
No,
No,
not
they're
compared to
Yes, they are.
Americans.
Yes, they are.
I don't believe that.
There are approximately 10 million Jews in the world.
Is there only 10 million?
10 or 12 million. Yeah. There's really not that many.
You have the power to aggravate over 30 million.
We have the aggravation power.
strength of 30 to 40 million.
yeah, man, watch your mouth.
Wait, who? About the Jews?
No, about the Native Americans.
Well, I'm saying statistic truths.
Numbers lie.
You can't
People
just say.
smart.
You can't just
They,
say.
they know how to count. They know how to read.
I didn't say they're not
Watch
smart.
yourself.
I said that they have some of the.
They're just
most,
uneducated.
Why would you
No.
bring that statistic up in the first place?
because
Whoa.
everybody was
Well,
talking
what
about how
status?
dope it is to be Native American.
And then you bring that up.
Yeah, it's very. It's a very difficult.
He's saying that no, they haven't recovered from what America.
I'm not saying I think Native Americans suck. I'm saying I think that America has been sucky to Native Americans.
Yeah.
Shut up.
You think that's a controversial position?
Nah, man, that's very right on. That's very right on.
He went the other way with
Yeah,
it.
you switch positions very quickly.
I mean, if you think about some of the sports teams that have like the Braves with that.
Oh
like,
yeah, the Redskins
great-
and the
that's-
like
Indians.
like
Yeah.
what other ethnicity
Yeah.
is there?
Chris
Like a
Rock used to do-
caricature.
Chris
Like
Rock used to do that joke in his act.
Here's my actual my opinion on Native Americans. I think that if you were to, and I know this is sort of equivocating suffering, which is pointless, but I think that that's the worst thing that's ever happened in human history. I think what happened to the native people of South and North America, it trumps the Holocaust, it trumps slavery. I think that it's the worst thing that's ever happened.
I think that slavery is worse.
Okay. Talk about it.
Because
Now we're getting some. What about you, Jasper? Which one do you think?
Oh, man, I think all things are bad. I think anything that's happened to any group of people is bad.
right,
Man.
but what's the worst?
Well, here's why I think the Native American thing is the worst, is because there are places in South America where they won. The white people won. There are not Native Americans anymore. They killed them. All of them. You know what I'm saying?
In South
And, like,
America?
In South America, yeah.
Like where?
Like Argentina and like and there's one other place that I'm not thinking. Also the Philippines. They just wiped out all of the natives that were there. So it's like it's like I feel like
How do you explain all the
that
Filipinos
doesn't sound
over there?
right. Just FYI.
That's fine. It is though. And so and like
That doesn't because I've seen.
I see plenty of Filipinos around. They don't
Yeah,
look like
they're
white
not,
people.
Yeah.
I didn't say there's no one in the Philippines, guys. There are Filipinos in the Philippines, but
Then
those,
who do they wipe
But
out?
you said they wiped them out.
No, for real though. What do you
there
like?
were native tribes.
What's the difference between the Philippines and America?
But also, you said Native Americans. Then you're talking about the Philippines, because I agree the Philippines.
He means
what went down
indigenous
there.
people.
Is some
I'm just talking about indigenous people. Excuse
Yeah.
me. I mean, and maybe the Philippine thing. I'm thinking of a different island. I don't know. But there is some island that where all of the natives were literally wiped out, and all that you have there are the new colonized group.
the great ones.
Have you ever
the
heard
great
about
people.
the shit that went down that Columbus did?
Like, yeah, man.
That's horrible to even
That's
think
what I'm
about.
saying. Is it's beyond. It's like no genocide has been able to kind of like really decimate a culture in quite the same way. I feel like.
I mean, yeah.
What
I
about
mean,
the rape of Nanking?
I mean, there's a lot of Chinese
That's
people and they're
pretty
still
bad.
killing it right now.
Yeah, I think slavery's. I gotta put slavery number
What's the
one.
worst atrocity you've ever heard of,
Psychologically-
Jasper?
Man, I mean, I'm gonna roll with slavery just cause home team.
Respect.
Yes.
I mean, I ain't even supposed to be talking like this. I'm supposed to be saying something else.
What do you think you're
that
supposed to
sound
say?
cool? You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Moshe, it's not cool to say something was worse than
effects of
slavery. I mean, it's just
I
not,
hear you. You're
it's
right.
Not,
What's the
not
point?
a nice thing to say or bring
Nice,
up, or
I
even
mean,
like
the effects. Of
like
slavery.
what's
Like
the point?
Moshe, if my girlfriend ever comes, you've got to say slavery's worse.
Wait, why? She'll agree with me.
Because it's not cool.
Oh man.
It's just not cool,
You
man.
gotta,
are you
gotta
gonna
merge these things like KFC and Taco Bell. How they merge? We gotta
That
merge
might be the worst
these
thing that's ever
atrocities.
happened. That might be worse than slavery, the Holocaust, or the Native
pretty bad.
Americans.
We come with thriving business.
I think psychologically slavery's worse because there's been no apology
Is that
by
right?
white people.
Is that true?
There's been none. Clinton was going to apologize, wanted Congress to vote to apologize, and they said no.
Crazy.
There's been I was talking to Rock about this when I was in New York, and he was saying, like, it's never been prosecuted. Every other fucking the Holocaust. If they hear there's a Nazi, they will fucking go and prosecute. Slavery. Slavery's never been prosecuted.
Who would you prosecute?
Or reparations.
Reparations.
I mean, like that's
right.
the thing. It's like Indians got casinos, black people got dick.
Yeah. Well,
and they also got like you're free, but yet everything's gonna be shittier for 100 more years.
Right. What do you believe? What do you think about reparations?
I think it don't matter. No amount of money can solve what slavery did.
Right. And what do you think slavery did to white people listening? Because I always try to tell white people what it's like.
It's like you say, it's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
It's a psychological thing. You have a history that's cut off because of slavery. You know, like I said, I speak English. I'm westernized as a black person. Like my culture is American culture.
Do you think that time will eventually like wipe that trauma clean, like another 100, 200 years, or do you think that it's just permanent?
That's what I asked Rock.
It's permanent because then it becomes your job as a black person to learn about their history that you got cut off from. So that's when you have to take.
What did Rock say?
He said that it'll never. I'm of the mind that like 150. You know whatever. Like eventually. Like I in my head I have a joke where it's like. I only do it in my head, in the club in my head, where it's like, Jews only get 30 more years talking about the Holocaust, then you can't talk about it anymore.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. Is like, I feel like, there's thousands of years of anti-Semitism.
Right.
But I don't feel like it. But that's because I don't live in a society where I'm directly affected by it. Every black person in America is still being directly
Can we all get along?
Or indirectly affected by the effects of slavery. But I don't feel like, as traumatic as I feel like anti-Semitism and the Holocaust is, I don't feel like it does affect my day-to-day life. But then I'm not being followed around by a German every time I go into a German restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thankfully, there are no German restaurants.
Yeah.
How do you? Yeah. So what do you? I guess it'll never.
Yeah, because the thing is, being a black American is, when you think about your history, you automatically go to slavery. That's as far as people can go back in their minds. Like, that's where we began. So,
I guess you don't know your lineage in terms of
that's what I'm saying. So, like, you have a cruddy history, so there's no reason to feel proud of that.
Cruddy is the perfect word.
No, I mean that's that's really fascinating, because when I think about it, like as a Jew, like I have a whole history. African Americans are a created people, a created culture created by slavery. It's an artificial culture that's been created by slavery. So there's a hard stop in the.
I always say that's the problem with California. Mm-hmm. Is when you're in New York or DC or Boston, you can kind of feel Europe.
Yeah,
a little
I know
bit.
What you mean? Yeah,
like you can the educational institutions, like you can kind of feel like, oh, there's a European feel to it.
Right.
California, there's no fucking context. It's just like, we just started coming out here, and
but why would African American culture be artificial? There's no such thing as artificial.
I don't mean
culture.
it in a pejorative way. I just mean that it did
completely rearranged. It was one thing in Africa, and then white people came and just fucked it up.
But I think that's how the world is always going. Things are always
fair.
being like. There's always been war.
Yeah, but there hasn't been much taking of people out of a land and putting them somewhere else. And splitting their families up.
And then all of a sudden you would have people from two different tribes who would have been at war with each other, who all of a sudden are now called the same. And they're like, "Oh, are we the same?" Like, and so it just sort of.
Well, that's great that those people got to be together.
They're not looking at it correctly. Yeah, they got to look at the bright side.
Look at the bright side here, jeez.
Yeah, no, I don't think it'll ever. There's no. It's also psychologically, it's not. I always try to explain to white people that don't know any black people, which is most white people.
Yeah.
Have you ever had white people go, "How are you friends with so many black people?"
What I've had is I will have this conversation with.
I get asked that constantly.
Put me on the court.
I'll have this conversation with the person who's talking about the people on welfare or black people, and then you get to this point where you go, "Oh, you don't know any poor people."
No.
Oh, I see. You've never met. This is all an abstraction. These are all talking points from talk radio, but you don't know any of the people that you're talking about.
Somebody brought up welfare queens yesterday, and I was like, I've never seen that borne out.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they're like, yeah, but there's people. And he goes, well, don't you think there's women that are trying to get pregnant by NBA players? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, so you believe that exists, but you don't believe welfare queens exist? I was like, well, that's way fucking easier to get banged by an NBA player.
Also, of course, welfare queens. Everything exists.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But I don't think that. I think that they're the exception. I don't think that they're the rule.
But they're not these demons that are bankrupting the American economy. When you go back to Tennessee, do you still feel the effects of like old Southern racism?
Yeah, because the South is very much segregated. I mean, California is segregated too.
Everywhere's segregated.
Yeah.
But the South has
everywhere's segregated. New York's the least segregated.
Right.
And it's
Chicago is like the most segregated.
Martin Luther King said that.
Right. They rioted when Martin Luther King came to Chicago.
Yeah. That's the only place you ever see footage of him walking through Chicago? He looks fucking scared. And rightly so.
Yeah, I mean, but the South is particularly segregated because they had a history of actual segregation, like, officially mandated or whatever.
Yeah. Until 65.
Yeah. I say it ain't different than a big city. I mean, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. It's segregated. There's the black side of town, then there's the...
But it's so hot and humid, no one has any time to
really hate.
So here's my real question: are Dick Gregory and Michael Moore gonna fuck with the champs?
Dick Gregory is one of those guys. If I'd asked, if you guys had been there, we could have done an episode.
Right.
And I was gonna record it and did it, but it was like I just felt like it would have been an invasion.
Yeah.
But he's like, somebody asked him to do an interview about Roseanne.
Where does he live?
He lives in Plymouth, Mass.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a strange place to live.
What about Michael Moore?
Michael Moore's not. I think Mike would come on the show.
Mike?
Mike, yeah, my friend Mike.
When I was younger, I used to like his movies, but then I don't know. The more I just feel like he's kind of like the Fox News of liberalism or something. Don't you think? Don't you get that feeling from him where he's kind of like?
Here's what his movies have been about: gun control, healthcare, the GM, and
capitalism.
Iraq. And capitalism. He's 4 out of 5, meaning like they all ended up kind of being true. Like he was the first. The thing I like about Michael Moore is that he was the first 3 days.
I just don't think he's that honest about everything.
I think that he's a subjective filmmaker,
and I mean, like, I agree with like his views.
Politically, yeah.
But it's like, if he's gonna have these methods that are like shady, then
I don't think his methods are shady, but I think that he's a subjective filmmaker.
I see what Doug's.
He puts people on blast, like.
Yeah, why you got to put people on blast?
Well, that was that's you're thinking of Sacha Baron Cohen. He doesn't put people. He lets them know who he is.
No, but you want as the guy
sets it up where he like makes the people look like idiots.
Who has he done that to?
The people he's attacking.
He went to Rogers. He went to that building and he always he
was trying to get an interview with the guy. He never gave it. And the guy that he quote unquote put on blast, Michael said was the head of GM security and makes $250,000 a year. And he could have blurred his face if the guy was.
Well, regardless, I mean, if he just shows up like that, and it's like,
how about obviously, are you mad at 60 Minutes for doing that?
No, I mean,
are you mad?
I'm not talking about
60
minutes.
But I'm saying you're talking about the method. I'm saying 60 Minutes uses that method. Local news uses that method. Tons of people use that method.
But the local news in 60
don't like
minutes,
that either.
The local news in 60 minutes.
But you don't discount all of local news as a result.
Local news in 60 Minutes don't do it to the degree that Fox News and maybe, on the other hand, Air America and KPFA and KPFK here in LA and Michael Moore. I mean, it's a bit of yellow journalism. It just happens that I agree with.
Also, Michael Moore, like he admits that he's like, I make movies, He's like, I make movies. They're just movies.
You do a good Mike impression.
You actually do a good Mike.
Yeah.
He's a friend, so I can say that you do a good impression.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, he does plead in the same way Jon Stewart says, I'm just telling
sensationalist,
jokes.
A bit.
Exactly.
It is, but it's sensational.
It's like, are you making movies or is this something I can believe in, like...
Look, I don't think he said anything that you can't believe in. He was at the Oscars. It was 3 days into the Iraq War, and he called it a fictitious war.
That's pretty dope.
Like, so that's that Kanye argument.
Again,
it's like
I like a lot of his views and everything. I'm pretty on board with. I just feel like he should roll it back a little bit or something.
Again, everyone's got notes for him. He's making?
I got a note for him.
He's making movies the way he wants to make movies. And then someone else hit me on Twitter like, well, I don't like, he makes people on the left not like him. And people on the right don't like him. It's like, who do they like? Who strikes the right journalistic
Look,
tone?
I know you're friends with Mike, but I'm just trying to.
No, I know, but who strikes give me an example of someone whose tone you like.
Matt Taibbi is a guy who's a bit sensationalist, but is pretty much. No, he's a bit of a firebrand too. The truth is,
yeah. I mean, I love Taibbi as well, but I've heard other journalists say like it's a little much.
It's a little much, right?
But I think he's excellent.
Everything that's reasonable is boring.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a mild opinion makes no noise. And
Gotcha.
Go like, that's interesting.
And love is
never
gonna.
Love is all I've ever given a fuck about, guys. You know that.
I care about love. Michael Moore,
Mike,
and getting close enough to him to be called Mike, and being protected by the Black and Latino community if I'm ever almost assaulted.
Yeah, that's a sweet deal.
It is.
I mean, it's worth it. It's worth it. All those films just to have that type of support in the streets.
Oh yeah, do you know how many white people I grew up with that that's all we ever wanted? Was just for Black and Latinos to come up to us and protect us
if some shit is happening.
You ain't gonna be messing with Mike.
You get a girlfriend.
Go ahead, sit down, son. Go ahead and eat your McNuggets. You ain't gonna be messing with Mike.
Don't mess with Mike, y'all. How close are you with Mike, man?
I'll email him.
Yeah, email Mike. Find out about the stories. Fuck with the champs.
Mike at michaelmoore.com.
People always have
Call me Mike at michaelmoore.com.
People's emails are always. You could take anyone famous.
Type it in the Gmail.
Type it in at Gmail, and there's a good chance
you could never find my email. My email is complicated. Moshe at moshekasher.com.
Impossible.
Moshe.
But I want you to beep out the. Have we done it?
I think we've done it.
I think we did
went and did it.
Jasper, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having
Jasper,
me.
do you find us over? Do you find that most people talk way more than you?
Yeah, that's because I'm a good listener, and I let people do their thing, man. If I was a ball player, I have like a ton of assists and lack of points.
Jasper Redd, everybody.
Best listener in podcast comedy.
One of the best listeners we've ever had on here.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, Jasper. Thank you, everybody, for listening. The champs will be back at you next week. We love you.
Now you're fucking with the champs.